Nigel Farage, welcome back to the programme. Now, when even staunch Tory Eurosceptics like Nick Herbert are planning to campaign to stay in, don't you worry now that the tide of opinion is moving away from you and towards Mr Cameron?
I've never regarded Nick Herbert as a staunch Eurosceptic. He briefly, in the 1990s, worked for an organisation that campaigned to keep the pound. He was paid to do it.
You didn't think he believed it?
I don't know. Lawyers take on briefs whether they believe in the case or not.
What about Michael Gove? It looks like you've lost him.
Since he's been, when he was a minister and since, he's never once advocated Britain should leave the EU. So, he's doing a job bolstering the Prime Minister. Look, there's been lots of speculation about, will Boris Johnson back the Out campaign? Will Theresa May back the Out campaign? I don't know. What I suspect is...
Not Michael Gove, we know now, I think.
Well, I suspect that most senior politicians inside the Conservative Party will put their careers before their conscience and will back the Prime Minister's position. But does that matter? That's the real question. And I'm beginning to see this referendum actually as being the people versus the politicians. It might not matter.
Except your own side continues to be driven by factionalism. We've got Vote Leave, we've got Leave.eu, and they seem to spend more time attacking each other than what you might regard as the common enemy.
Well, you've got these two groups who are vying for the nomination. The Electoral Commission will decide. One or the other will become the official umbrella group. I've been trying to support both of the organisations, though I have to say, when I listened to Dominic Cummings on Friday...
Who's on Vote Leave, I think.
He was Vote Leave, and indeed Daniel Hannan, who you interviewed on Friday, on the midweek version of this, and suddenly they're talking about a two-referendum strategy, which I don't like the look of one little
Why
bit.
not? Why? Because the argument is, if we vote... The argument from Dan Hannan on the Daily Politics was, we can vote to come out, and then Europe will panic and make us an offer which will effectively be associate membership, and we could vote on that.
Well, we effectively have associate membership now. We have ever since the euro was created. And I think, Dan Hannan has criticised every government that has lost a referendum and made people vote again.
But he wants to leave, doesn't he?
I wasn't sure. After the interview I saw the other day, I genuinely wasn't sure.
We've now got a group of prominent, mainly Tory, but not entirely politicians. They've started a third group called Go. As you know, it does lend itself now to jokes about the Judean people's struggle and the struggle for the
point about
people.
The point about Go is that it's there to break the deadlock that you've identified earlier in this interview. And next Saturday, there will be Conservatives, Labour, UKIP and DUP sharing a public platform. There's a big auditorium, there's 2,000 people coming, and we're going to start the ground campaign in earnest.
Should Vote Leave and Leave.eu amalgamate?
Of course. I've argued this right from the start. Leave.eu have got 400,000 registered supporters. They're brilliant at mass marketing. Vote Leave are a Westminster-based group of people who've got some fantastic links with the business community, some great academic backup. They would, in fact, be complementary, not contradictory.
And meanwhile, as you're still struggling to get a united front, if I can put it like that, perhaps the united front of the Judean people's struggle.
Well, no, Go is breaking that. Go is breaking all of that down.
Your massive forces, as you will see, are being mustered. And I would suggest from the Better Together Project Fear playbook, which proved so effective in the Scottish referendum, shouldn't you fear Project Fear?
Well, Project Fear worked in Scotland, and clearly, Alex Salmond's complete over-reliance on oil was the source of Scotland's income, and his inability to answer the question about, whether they'd have the pound or the euro was the problem. We haven't got that problem. And actually, even Project Fear's got a problem, because I was up against the Welsh First Minister last Monday in a big public debate. He said all the big businesses would leave Britain, but increasingly, all the foreign-owned car companies are saying, no, 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 no. If Britain leaves the European Union, we will maintain our manufacturing bases.
But the problem that you have is that although even if we stay in, there'll be some uncertainty as the Eurozone becomes more united, and we're unlikely to be part of that. It'll be different. So you can't be sure of the future. No one on your side can tell us if we come out, what will our status be? What will our relationship be? Because you have lots of differences.
Well, we've got a whole range of options. There are countries all over the world that have different relationships. The Swiss have bilateral relationships.
No, I know.
The Norwegians have membership.
Which one should we have?
The Norwegians have a membership of the European Economic Area.
Sure.
We are the biggest trading partner the Eurozone has in the world. We are trading at a vast trade deficit. What we want is a British deal which is based on trade, cooperation and nothing more.
But don't you have to spell that out more as to what exactly that would be? And of course, there's still the uncertainty as to whether you could deliver.
Well, you know, every single German car manufacturer, every single champagne producer will absolutely insist that we do that deal as quickly as we possibly can. Now, actually...
You hope that, but of course it's uncertain.
Under the terms of our treaties, of course, you know, on D-Day +1, nothing changes at all. You know, we will have open access to markets during the time we renegotiate a British deal.
Do you not feel, though, the ground beginning just to move a little under you, that as the whole forces of the British state, I'm sure Alex Salmond felt the same with the Scottish referendum, muster that it's a formidable force and you're up against it?
I think in terms of our political class, yes. I think the chances of many people who are currently in senior positions in politics joining us, perhaps they diminish inevitably. But what you can't do is take away from ordinary folk out there scenes such as Cologne and saying to themselves, in 3 years' time, all these people will have EU passports and will be able to come to Britain. This campaign will be the people against the politicians, and the more the politicians club together, perhaps the more the people will choose to vote against them.
But in any possible relationship with the EU out will almost certainly involve a huge element of continued free movement. These people may well still be able to come to this country under any deal that you're able to arrange.
What I want us to get...
Your side.
Well, we have free trade deals all over the world that don't involve the free movement of people. It's only in Europe that we have this fallacy, this pretense that we need to have free movement of people. And I think, you know...
It may be the price of any kind of relationship.
I want us to govern our own country, and that includes controlling our own borders. And I want us to have an Australian-style point system where we're able to vet and adjudge whether people will make a positive contribution to our society. I can't do that as a member of the EU.
A final question. It's a personal one, but you've not had the best of times, I would suggest, since the election. And it culminated in what it seemed to be you designating a car breakdown as an assassination
I didn't do anything
attempt.
like that, but Sunday newspapers are very good at that sort of thing.
Well, you did seem to think it was some kind of assassination attempt. I mean, hasn't that undermined, as the most famous person on the Get Out campaign, doesn't that undermine your credibility?
I don't think it does, no. And to say we've had a tough time since the election, it's very interesting. UKIP is being written off by every commentator in Fleet Street. The last YouGov poll of the year had us on 17% in the opinion polls, 25% up since the general election, and amazingly, on the most important issue, you know, the number one issue in the minds of British people, immigration and border controls, we're the most trusted party on 29%. And we go into this year with a realistic expectation of winning seats in Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and playing a big role in this referendum.
We shall see. Thank you for being with us, Nigel Farage.